And we're going to use the cleanup at parcel boundary tools. In this case, we're going to put a 35-foot radius, fillet radius at each intersection with the parcel boundary. So we'll click OK, and you'll see that our right-of-way is now created. But we have 4 parcels now instead of just 2. So we need to combine these 2 parcels. So to combine those 2 parcels, we'll go over to our Modify tab, and we'll click on Parcels. And let's make sure I'm in the right place, because these commands have obviously moved and I may not even be in the right place anymore. I'm going to go back to the Home tab and go back to my parcel creation tools so that I get the toolbar. And now I can use the union command. I select the destination parcel by clicking on the label, and then I select the other parcels to join. So the other right-of-way parcel, I just pick the label, hit enter, then we can exit the command, and now we have our right-of-way parcels joined as one parcel. Okay, now we need to lay out our lots. So we'll go back up to the Create Design panel, and we'll click on Parcel Creation Tools. I'm going to expand this toolbar, and you can see that I've already put in some parameters to design our lots by. Here we've got 12,000 square foot minimum for our lots. Minimum frontage is going to be 60 feet, and we're telling it to use the minimum frontage at an offset. In the past, this would have been the minimum frontage at the right-of-way. Well, here my frontage offset is 35 feet. The minimum width in this case is 30 feet. So if we're in a radial situation, it's going to measure to make sure that we have 60 feet at the frontage line, and then we're going to look and see what we have on the right-of-way for the minimum width. We're going to say that our minimum depth is 50 feet. We're going to use the maximum depth, and here I've set the maximum depth at 500 feet. So I've also turned on the automatic mode and redistribute the remainder. So we'll come back up and we'll click on our parcel creation tools here. And if you notice, some of these names have changed. We now have a slide line create, which used to be a slide angle create. Same tool, works exactly the same way, but the name has changed. So we'll click on slide line create. Our site's going to be proposed. We're going to create single family lots, and we'll accept the defaults there. Collapse that again. I need to select the parcel to be subdivided. So now, instead of picking a point inside the parcel, we actually have to pick the parcel name. Ask us to specify a starting point on frontage. So I'm going to pick the end point of my return. That's the right of way. And now I'm just going to bring the widget around and select the end point of the return. So now we see new graphics that we haven't seen before, showing us the path that it's going to use to create our parcels. We need to specify the angle at the frontage, so we'll type in 90 degrees, and it'll go through and generate our parcels for us. And now again, you see new graphics on the screen showing us where it measured the width of the lot and made sure that we had the minimum depth covered. So we'll accept the desired result there. We'll hit enter and type X and enter to end that command, and you can see that now we've created those lots. If we come over here to a radial lot, and if I drew a arc out here at a 35-foot offset, we could measure it. It would be 60 feet along the arc length, and you can see here that we've met the minimum requirement of 35 feet at the frontage. So those are the new tools with parcels. They're pretty nice. It's going to make our parcel layout even easier than it's been in the past. So I hope you like that tool. I sure do, coming from a subdivision background, which is the thing that I used to do the most. So that's going to be a really beneficial tool for us, I believe. Alright, let's go back over to Prospector tab, and I'm going to right click, switch to, and select my storm sewer drawing. Now we want to talk about our integrated stormwater analysis. So with our integrated stormwater analysis, now there are no icons on our screen to launch the HydroFlow products. They strictly launch from within Civil 3D. So we've got our drawing up. You see I've drawn in a little pipe network here, got a little corridor model for some surfaces, and we got some pipe coming off the side over here. So if I come over and I click on one of the pipes, you'll notice that it loads up the pipe network's contextual ribbon. And if I look over here under Analyze, I've got storm sewers. So if I click the button beside the storm sewers icon in the panel, you can see that I can import a file, I can export a file, and if you notice, the file exports directly to an STM file. That is the file type that the HydroFlow storm sewers reads. So if I come down here, I can also click on Edit in Storm Sewers. So if I click there, export my pipe network, and we'll call it Rollout Storm. We'll replace that file. It's going to give me a little warning there. I can clear that warning. And then my storm sewers is opened up, so bear with me just a second and I'll pop that up on the screen. So there are our storm sewer. You can see that the plan looks a lot like our graphic from Civil 3D. It should be exactly like it, with one exception. There's a curved pipe over here in our drawing that gets thrown in as a straight pipe in storm sewers. Alright, so let's go to our Pipes tab. Here we see our Pipes tab, typical spreadsheet operation here. Notice we have no end value for our pipes. So if I double click there, let me expand that column out a little bit. So if I double click there, you can see that I can go in and pick the different pipe end values. In this case, we'll use 0.013 for concrete for all of these pipes. And let me get the last two. Hit enter there. Come back in, make sure that held. And now we need to look at some known Q's. So I want to put some Q's or some flow values into my pipe network. So we'll just double click here, say 0.1 coming into that particular inlet. Let's see, 0.05 there. And I'm just pulling these out of my head. I haven't looked at the numbers to even see if this is anywhere close. I'm just putting in some numbers so that we can see the software start creating the pipe network and the flows. Alright, so let's go over to our Inlets tab. And on our Inlets tab, we will scroll over. Notice we have no longitudinal slope or no gutter value here, so we need to change our gutter values for our concrete.